So hi everyone, I'm just jumping on to give a quick update on this fast moving story regarding Liverpool's move for Real Sociedad midfielder Martin Zubimendi. Now of course it did only break yesterday that he was the number 6 that Liverpool had made a priority target. We know that's been a problem position for years, but he's the man who they've singled out as a solution to that problem, particularly in this Arne slot system where it's a double pivot and they feel he will fit into that really nicely. Now I did say yesterday when this story came out that timing wise, things are probably going to have to move quickly with this one, not least because there's not very long left in the window, but also Liverpool really would want to fend off that interest from elsewhere and get a deal over the line. But they're being slowed down as they attempt to do that, because the latest, to my understanding, is that Real Sociedad are pushing very, very hard to convince the player to stay put. Now, it's not a surprise, I suppose. Obviously, he's a brilliant player. That's exactly why Liverpool want him. It's why a lot of clubs across Europe have wanted him in recent years. But he's also, from their perspective, he's an academy boy. He came through. It's his hometown club. He's a bit of an icon of the club, really. And so they would love to absolutely, if they could, is to fend off that interest, as they have done in the past as well. It's worth noting. Of course, Barcelona have moved for him previously and been turned down. Arsenal the same. So, Real Sociedad have proved really good at this in the past in terms of convincing him to stay. But it does feel, I would say, like a bit of a key moment in his career. He is 25 now, so he's coming up to those peak years. And if he's ever going to make the move, maybe this is kind of the time to do it, really. So it's a big decision, really, that awaits for him. And I think Liverpool, they do really need, from their perspective, for the player to kind of push and to firmly say to Real Sociedad that he wants to go, because although that release clause is there and that can take it out of their hands, obviously he wants to leave on good terms. And Liverpool, obviously, in terms of the negotiations, could go in and put the money on the table, but they're not going to do that unless they know that the player is fully convinced and that he actually wants to move. But the one thing I would say, and I think it is worth noting, is that, look, it wouldn't have got this far if Zubimendi was going to give Liverpool a flat no. So we know there's some level of interest from his side. Obviously, there's good relations with his agents from Richard Hughes' side. He's known him well. He brought Iraola, who is a client of Iñaki Ibanez, to Bournemouth during his time as technical director there. So there are good relations there. So that would have been a very brief conversation if Zubimendi had absolutely no interest in coming to Liverpool this summer. So the fact that it's come this far shows that interest, that baseline interest was there. But it's all about whether that interest can sustain through the fact that Real Sociedad have no doubt not just telling him about how important he is to them, but also I'm sure there'll be an offer of a new contract, more money, as they try and convince him to stay. The big thing from Liverpool's point of view is that they will have to respect the player's wishes on this. They've got to wait for him to decide. And I know some people may say that maybe it's a lack of ambition if he wasn't to move, but you've got to think about how important the club is to him. As I mentioned, he's an academy graduate. It's his hometown club. He loves them. You think of the likes of Totti, Gerrard, how they were one-club men throughout their career. For Gerrard, that essentially cost him a league title, but he loved Liverpool Football Club. So there is value in that, and you have to respect that, and I'm sure Liverpool absolutely will do. But these are some crucial hours ahead now in terms of that decision making. As I say, Liverpool won't want to hang around, because if they can't get this deal over the line, they will want to look at alternatives in that midfield position. Also, there's the threat, as I mentioned, of other clubs coming in and maybe even turning the player's head if he's resolved to go. So they need this to kind of move quickly, and I'm sure they will be putting pressure on to make sure that's the case. But obviously, not too much pressure to force the player to go back into Real Sociedad's arms and decide that he would prefer to stay. There are, of course, even if Liverpool get the green light from the player, a couple of hurdles to leap over in terms of the payment terms. Now, we know that release clause, which is around £52 million, that Real Sociedad, that would have to be paid in one chunk, and it's about whether Liverpool could maybe negotiate with that, whether they can agree maybe a slightly higher fee but better payment terms, more favourable to them, or whether there's alternatives of maybe even getting an external loan to pay that out, as they have done in the past with, say, Dominic Szoboszlai. But so that is another hurdle that's yet to be clear. But as I said, I think crucial hours ahead, really, really important. Before you even think about that, and even though that is worth thinking about in the long term, you need to get the player to give the green light, and that is the big thing that's hanging up in the air now. We don't know which way this is going to go. Maybe even 50-50 you could call it, and we'll have to see whether Zubimendi decides that this is the summer for him to move and that Liverpool is the right club for him. Maybe he wants to follow in Xabi Alonso's footsteps. We will see. So Just a quick update, as I said, that's the state of play as things stand. It's really, really fast moving, so I'm sure there will be more updates to come really soon. Let me know in the comments how you're feeling about this. Are you feeling confident, feeling a little bit pessimistic? Is he going to end up as a Liverpool player? Always good to hear your thoughts. And as I say, this is such a fast moving story that I'm sure we'll be back for an update pretty soon, so I'll see you then.